Hello again. 24 years ago, I read this book. You see it there? The Bait of Satan by John Bevere. Excellent book. I'm talking today about, are you easily offended? In our quest for living a victorious Christian life, one of the things that will trip us up is offence. Happens all the time. People get offended, relationships are broken, and the devil's laughing his head off. He uses a bait. Now, what is a bait? The devil uses a bait. What is a bait? Well, fishermen or hunters will tell us to catch a fish with a rod and a line, there must be a hook on the end that the fish grabs onto, and it goes into his mouth. The fisherman pulls on the line and he's caught. Now, he's not daft enough just to take a hook into his mouth. The fish has got eyes, but there's a tasty maggot on the end of the line. And once the hook is in the fish's mouth, it's soon on the way to the dinner plate. For larger animals, the hunter constructs a cage. Now, the entrance side of the cage drops down as soon as an animal touches it, but it's got to be lured into the cage. So at the far end of the cage is a piece of wood with a nice tasty morsel of meat on it. The animal smells the meat, goes into the cage, and the trap comes down and the animal is caught. Now, the bait in Greek is skandalon, and once the animal smells the skandalon, then he is trapped. Now, these examples come from the physical world. Now, I've already let you know from the title of John's book that who sets traps for us, who sets bait for us, in the spiritual world. It's not too difficult a question. Now, as the disciples had been with Jesus a few years, they were with him 3.5 years in total, we read in Matthew 16 that Jesus asked them a direct question. Who do men say that I am? Now, some of the disciples mentioned prophets and so on, but only Peter got the right answer. Simon Peter answered and said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." That's Matthew 16, verses 15 and 16. The cat was out of the bag. People now knew who Jesus was. He wasn't just a prophet. He was the Son of the living God. And then, as we read on in Matthew 16, verses 21 to 23, Jesus was then able to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem, suffer many things of the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed and raised again the third day. Now, when Peter heard that, he took him and began to rebuke him and said, "Be it far from you, Lord, this shall not happen to you." And Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are an offence to me." That's the same word, skandalon. Now, Simon Peter, who had just received the great revelation that Jesus was the Christ, was now, just a few minutes later, severely rebuked by Jesus, who called him an offence, skandalon. So Satan had used Peter as a bait to try and stop Jesus from going to the cross. Now, the skandalon or bait of offence that Satan used against Jesus, guess what? He uses it against us. Especially from people who are close to us, people who say nasty things about us. We don't know them well, so what? Say nasty things, water off a duck's back, doesn't bother me. But people around us who are close, family members, friends, they're close enough to be able to wound us. If we're not spiritually in shape, we need to be in shape. We need to be strengthened spiritually so that potentially hurtful words and actions don't actually wound us. If we're strong, we can overlook an offence, and that's the honourable best option, as Solomon wrote in Proverbs 19 verse 11. Think about professional wrestlers, all-in wrestlers. I don't watch wrestling, but my granddad used to watch it, and I've seen wrestlers pick up a stool in the ring and smash it over the head of their opponent. They just and carry on fighting. They're not wounded by it because they're in shape. Now, we need to be in shape honourably to ignore the daily opportunities that come to us from Satan through our family and friends and those around us. In Luke 17, Jesus said, "It is impossible that offences, skandalon, will not come." They're going to come, but woe unto him through whom they do come. Luke 17 and verse 1. So Peter wrote, "We should therefore be vigilant, because our adversary, the devil, like a roaring lion, seeks whom he may devour." Satan has bags full of bait, just like a fisherman has got bags full of maggots. A hunter has got plenty of fresh meat to catch his prey. But Satan's bags are full of the bait of offence. And through our spouses, our children, our friends, our neighbours, he will make sure that we are tempted into being hurt and offended. Now, in the next few videos, I'll be explaining how not to be amongst those who are taken captive by the devil at his will, but we should be able to escape out of the snare of the devil. That's 2 Timothy 2:16. You interested in not being a victim and not being easily offended? Keep watching the next few videos. I'll see you then.